So when I entered the salon industry, I knew this was going to be a struggle, and I knew I was going to get some backlash on really what I wanted to do to prove my worth. So I'm going to be talking about all that and more on the next episode of Bleach, Please.
Is it worth it? Let me weigh in. Is your biz out here trying to make it? Are you charging out your color fees? We'll have you saying at the end, Bleach, please.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Bleach Please, a community built for the savvy stylists ready to level up. I'm so excited to have my co-host here, Mandy Newman.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. I just think that often we have these little sidebar conversations, so I'm excited to actually sit down, do it on camera, make it extremely natural. I'm just kidding. I'm never natural on camera, but we'll see how it goes today. We have wine, though, to help us, right?
Hey,
yeah.
Wine always helps.
Yeah.
Wine
We'll air cheers, because with
Cheers.
COVID, we can't touch. Oh, no.
I touched. Okay, let's do it again.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Okay, so I thought we could probably kick off today with talking about some things that have changed in your life recently, because really that's why we're here. People care about Alicia. They want to hear your story. And so I think to kind of change things up, I would like to talk about something that's more personal to me. Alicia and I work out together every morning, and just recently she has decided to get into running, and she was always capable of running. I mean, honestly, she has been on her fitness journey for a couple of years now. She's got a ton of muscle, and in order to be a good runner, you do need to have that foundation of muscle. But she's told herself a lot over the years that she couldn't run. She used the term "I can't" a lot of the times when it came to physical fitness, which is strange for her because in her business life, in a lot of ways, she's always been a yes person. She's always felt like she was capable of hitting all of your dreams, really, and she inspired people around her. But when it came to her physical health, things were a little bit different. So I'd love to kick things off and just talk about how your mindset has shifted in the last little while when it comes to your physical health and how that's actually helped in your business world as well.
I mean, it's a great starting point because I think as hairstylists, like, we give everything to our art. We give everything to our craft. So it's something we're really good at. We're great at communicating. Yeah. We're great at making sure people feel amazing, beautiful. So we lean all into those things. When it comes to other things outside, whether it's fitness or family or all that stuff, sometimes we have that self-doubting and that I can't do that. I'm not able to do that. And it really started to make me question that, am I truly finding balance in my life? Like, am I truly holding myself back? And by being like, oh, but I'm just like, I'm really good at hair. I can do this really well. And that's what I want people to see of me. And then I realized, like, who am I doing this for? And I realized I'm not truly finding any balance in my life. And I'm holding so much space in my head saying I can't do something. And I'm rewarding myself by being like, but you can do hair, you can do business, you can. So I'm like, oh, but this is the box you can sit in, Alicia, right? Yeah. And I think when we started working out together, and I started going into my fitness journey, like I stopped being like, okay, if I do this, then I get this, in the sense of like, oh, my goal is to like lose this, or like almost like punish myself my way there. Like I started to realize that like this is so much more about the journey than necessarily the destination, right? Yeah. And I did that every day with clients. I did that every day in my business. But then when it came to me personally, and when it came to fitness, it was crazy because all these times I said I couldn't do something, I was holding myself back. Yeah. And it's so reflective, like taking that time to stop thinking about anything else. And when you're physically active, when you're running and you're doing all that stuff, you cannot think about what tasks you need to do in that time. You just need to get through that run, or you need to get through that thing. Yeah. And I think that's where I realized how actual strong my mind was. I realized that I was pretty mind fit when it came to my business and everything else because I put a lot of practice there. Yeah. But where I didn't put practice was outside and into like the running side of things. And I remember like the first time you guys made me run, it was probably only 400 meters at that time. But the first time I remember just being like I just get it done and then you can go and like pass out in your car and then it'll be fine. Yeah. But just being like almost angry. Like anger was like, oh, I can't do this. Like, I don't want to do this, Yeah.
You're almost annoyed at us.
Yeah.
Because I think both of us, Carson, who's another coworker of ours, he works out as well. And he's actually, it's funny how there's different level of fitness. Carson inspires me every day because Carson has so much. He believes in me, and I am not even close to the fitness level that he thinks I am. And I think that you probably feel the same. Both Carson and I completely believe in your fitness level. We believe in what you can accomplish. And it's funny when people believe in what you can accomplish more. Absolutely. You're like, oh, well, they think I can do it, so you aspire to do more and be more, and I think that translates into other areas of salon scale as well, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's what you do is you start to like single yourself out to being like, this is what I do really well, and I'm comfortable here. And that's that whole word, like the wording around like, are you comfortable?
Yeah.
Or are you living in that uncomfortability where growth really lives? Yeah. And so for me, I was like, I could sit here and do the bare minimum and just like tick that off as like, I worked out today. But like being around you guys and having that belief was like, I could accomplish more. And instead of like creating this like persona, like you're a salon owner, you don't eat all day, you drink coffee, you're going to take 18 clients in a day, and then you're going to have zero time for yourself. And like physical fitness, no, like you're not healthy. Yeah. You're not going to have the time to do that. Like our industry is so backwards when it comes to like it's like you should be putting your physical like mentality, your you first. Yeah. But for so many years I didn't do that.
But your happiness was almost leveraged on your client's happiness, right? So your fulfillment and your confidence came from making other people happy. And after doing that for so many years, it starts to bleed into personal areas of your life, right? When it is important that a stylist cares about what the client wants. But then if you're doing that all day, every day, you start to little things, like you said, you slip where you're not eating all day because you know what? Mandy needs to get in and I'm really busy and my book is full, but I don't want to disappoint her and I want her to feel her best. Yep. So I'm going to make sure that I fit her in. So I'll skip lunch today and I'll figure it out later. And I think that often those like boundaries we put on ourselves and those little like boxes that we put ourselves in can like hold us back from other areas, even if we're killing it in certain areas of our life.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think you literally go through this thing where like if you're good at it makes you feel good, right? You want to do the things that make you feel great. Like no one loves to sit in a moment, like no one wants to be like, I'm going to do something completely different on this client, on every client today because I want to challenge. Like you're like, you find the ones that want the makeover for the day, but you are driven by accomplishments. You're driven by making people happy. And so every day when I knew I could do this cut and color and make someone's day, it was like a high. It was like, something I went for. Yeah. But then I made it so important that I forgot about me. So when I got into running and I had those moments where I wanted to break, I wanted to be like, F this. Like, like I'm not a runner. I don't do this. Like I'll blow dry. Like I don't do this, you know? And I think I realized right away that like, that it was in that numbness and in that zone that I could see perspective in like a bird's eye view, where I could see like if you have the right people, the right opportunities, and the ability to shift your mind from the I can'ts to the I cans, it's such a it's actually overwhelming. Like I actually like cried through some of the workouts because it was just like, oh my gosh, like everything I said I couldn't do. Yeah.
You're limiting yourself, really. A lot of those times you were limiting yourself, which you are somebody who lifts other people up. So if you were outside of yourself and you saw Alicia working out and saying, I can't, I'm not a runner, I'm not this, and labeling themselves, you would be the first person to jump in and be like, well, that's ridiculous. You absolutely are. But when it came to yourself, it was like, you were putting yourself into a box where you weren't a fitness person, you weren't a runner, but in fact, like what is that label? What is a runner? And I think one of the things we want to talk about today is the stigma around stylists, and I thought this was a good way to break it, like kind of break the ice and talk about that, because there is a lot of stigma in the industry, like we just talked about, where people label themselves and maybe outsiders label stylists a certain way in the beauty industry, and they can't be business savvy because they're creative and they care about the visual aspects of looking good and things like that. And I want to talk a little bit more about how you probably dealt a lot with that stigma in your early days, and how did you overcome that?
Well, I mean, I think we all face this. I think in the salon industry, it's all about looks. Yeah. You're rewarded for how amazing you look, how you present yourself, the actor you are for the day, and how you can make someone feel amazing. But behind that is, there's costs involved, there's business involved, and there's, a person behind the art. And I think, starting from hair school, there is just nothing in hair school that's going to prepare you for the business you're going to step into. And so, you chase this high of like, oh, I'm going to make my clients feel good. And then I'm going to build stylists to make their clients feel good. And then I'm going to build a salon that's like, having a lot of customers happy, and then how can I get bigger? And I think what happens is like you're chasing that feeling good, but when it comes to underneath that, and it comes to like the business practices and understanding, you know, how to run a successful business, there is no foundation. And so it feels isolating. It feels like it's crumbling. The industry has legitimately just stepped up in the last maybe 10 years.
Yeah.
To help give us resources to grow our business. The only place we were going was rewarding us for what we look like.
Yeah.
And the art. And go ahead, put another $40 onto that customer's hair. Cool, amazing. Like, we're getting rewarded for not being sustainable.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, we're being rewarded for what we look like. So
yeah.
it just was, you know, a real huge reminder and a struggle through the whole thing.
Yeah.
And not only that, is I would go to like family, and I go out there and it was just not, I was not accepted the way that other industries were. I just was not.
There's no validation.
There's no validation.
Yeah.
And even though, here's the funniest thing is like, even though my business was bringing in more revenue and doing more for the economy than my brothers were, we were still looked at as different.
Yeah.
And that it wasn't as successful. And I just was like very frustrated that I had that proving, that pride that like I have to go for it. I have to, you know, and so I started really listening to like clients in my chair. I started listening to like the clients' perspective that are like noticed in their cities, states, provinces, wherever you're at. And I looked at like where the respectable ones, right? Whether they're like doctors, lawyers, all this stuff. It's like, what makes that respectable? Like, what is that?
Yeah.
And so I started to like really coach my stylist early on. This is when I started leaning into that, which was like a professional is someone that holds themselves together and listens to you and gets you to your desired results, which is exactly what a hairstylist does.
Yeah.
The only thing that was missing was the business.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, we felt like we needed to be a best friend ear instead of like, let me give you business tools and solutions, right? So I started working really early on my language, like how I would talk and communicate with my guests. Yeah. And that's where it started building the confidence within me, which was like, oh. So the reason why is because if you went to a doctor and the doctor talked about this amazing party that they went to and how they saw this famous person and this famous person, you would start to think of that doctor as, you know, maybe not as professional.
Yeah.
So I started to look, what is the real relationship I want with this guest? And how do I want them to perceive me so I can make sure my value is noted right from the get-go? Yeah. So I painted that picture and I started training all my stylists to be in that frame. Yeah. Who do you want to be? What does our industry need to be looked at? Yeah. And so you need to show up with respect to your client to give them the desired results. Be stern when they can't get that. Yeah. And then you need to, you know, put them on a pattern where you are in charge. You're in control of that success. Yeah. And the moment anyone crosses that, which happened my whole career, and it took me literally 10 years. It took me 10 years to like fire clients. Yeah. But as soon as someone is trying to take that energy from you, the moment that someone's popping your bubble, you need to remove them from your business. Yeah. Yeah. One person is the equivalent of 100 great clients. Yeah. So if you focus on that one negative Nancy, you're going to ruin it for the next 100. Yeah. Because it's going to build you that much courage. Because you guys, this doesn't come like easy. Like this has taken generations to like own our power. Yeah. So now we're in our power. Yeah. And it takes one person to crush it. Yeah. So you got to be really careful. And so I really worked on that energy. And that was even my staff too. Like it was like I had to lean into them learning this. And it's hard, but we have to have the conversations and we have to be respected. Yeah. So the only way to have it is have a boundary.
And do you think that's probably one of the value propositions for Salon Scale is that transparency component? And that's not just transparency. I think sometimes a misconception with Salon Scale and some of the feedback we get on our social media is that it's a little bit confusing sometimes with transparency. It's not just transparency for weighing your color. It's transparency with your clients. It's transparency with your stylists. Your stylist can make or break your salon. And so we have solopreneurs, we have stylists, right? And I think for you, it was having those conversations with not only your stylists about what was going on in the business, so they were more business minded, and from that it bleeds out into their conversations in their personal life, which levels up the entire industry. If you know, one of your stylists is going home and having business conversations about their chair and how much color they're using and some of the conversations they're having with people that aren't just revolving around maybe other things that they would have talked about before, they're really owning their business and owning what they're talking about because they're getting that from you. It bleeds out into the personal life, and then it bleeds out to leveling up the industry, to remove that stigma, to break it, right? The stigma behind it not being a serious job or a serious profession, even though all along, all of these stylists and salon owners have had to do ordering, they've had to look at their time, they've had to price their time, they've had to price themselves, they've had to, you know, learn all those things that they maybe didn't teach you in hair school. And so from you learning this and then moving forward and having maybe that transparent piece, that probably bled into Salon Scale in the sense that that's one of your value props, right? And it's not just transparency when it comes to, it's not as simple as just weighing your color and that's transparency. It's like transparency that bleeds through right to your client, because your client will respect you more, will value your time more, and they'll understand why the pricing has changed, and everybody wins that way.
Yeah, I think, you know, this kind of leads into when we were talking earlier around like the fitness side of things. We were talking about like leaning into that uncomfortability.
Yeah.
So our industry has failed us in a sense of not giving us, you know, the language to talk business and fundamentals and financials. But so much what we do is that creative side. Mm-hmm. So we know we have that. So, you know, letting go is the hardest thing you're going to have to do. But in the letting go is when you really rise. Mm-hmm. And I learned this, like, it's like a cycle. You'll learn this every year, where it's like if you truly let go and you let go of the things that you can't control and you lean into the hard things, you're going to see growth. And so really, honestly, the best part about this is Salon Scale is so much more than just an app. Yeah. Salon Scale is truly a movement. I am the face of very many other salon owners that were in the same exact situation as I was. Yeah. Alone in a business where, all my team was like, she's amazing. She's an award-winning stylist. She can do this. She can do this. Like, I was in a spotlight, but I was trapped in my spotlight. Yeah. Yeah. I was trapped there, and underneath me was a failing business. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because I was too scared, because no one could teach me the language. No one could teach me the numbers, because no one knew it. Yeah. Other than the manufacturers or distributors that just wanted more of my money. Mm-hmm. So it was like, that's who I went to, was the people that were actually going to like take more of my money. Like, how is that empowering? Yeah.
And they weren't educating you on what was happening.
Yeah.
They were just taking more of your money and relying on the fact that you're creative.
Exactly.
So, like, you're creative, so you don't need to worry about the business aspect of it. We got you. We're just going to take more of your money. Well, forget it.
Exactly.
Like, it's not your personality, right?
Yeah. And you're also, it's like, I want to figure this out on my accord. Like, when it's right for me, when it's right for my business, because my business is different than everyone else's business. Yeah. So, you know, then there was, like, business courses and classes, which frankly, I couldn't afford a lot of those classes. And I also wanted to discover what these words meant to me. Mm-hmm. So, when I started Salon Scale, you know, what it is today is so much more than when it started, but the whole, you know, purpose behind it is leveling up a stylist and allowing them to understand the language of business at a pace that's right for them. Yeah. You know, you do not need to look at a 6 salon located business and be like, whoa, I'll never get there, right? Same like running 6 kilometers. Or 6 miles. There was days that I said I could never do that, which I didn't think I could run $1 million salon. I didn't think I could build a tech company. But like, what's needed is conversation and community and empowerment, vulnerability. And like, let's have a conversation. So let's build unique tools. Information faster, quicker, and all we need is a community to listen to those that are giving value instead of taking. And we will all rise. And that's the funny thing about this, is that like when the tide comes in, we all rise, right? And so if we can build a foundation, and that's truly where Salon Scale was like, if we can teach the education part, if we can teach people to know what investing is and to know what, like, I have gone and learned all this stuff to invest in capital into Salon Scale and learned about financial models and business models and all that stuff. And now I'm just like, I need to help this with with the industry. I need to help
Yeah.
this with the industry to see how they can do this too on their scale and on their
Yeah.
time. So it's all about passing the knowledge on.
Yeah.
And if any takeaways that I have around anything is just to be extremely open,
Yeah.
stop denying yourself, because
Yeah.
ultimately there's
The boundaries.
There's a
It's
boundary.
Stop creating the boundaries. Stop saying you're not a runner. Stop saying that you're not business savvy.
Yeah.
Stop saying that you're not somebody who's like really educated in finance. I mean, I feel like this is one of my biggest mantras in life. It's like outside of like genetic athletic ability, everyone is capable of almost anything. So Alicia is a runner. Alicia is a business owner. Alicia is now a business savvy business owner and creative stylist. And you're allowed to be more than just one thing, right?
Yeah.
Like Alicia can be all of those things, and it doesn't stop you from now entering a new chapter. I mean, you've learned that along the way, and you were always really confident in your ability to lift other people up. But I think your takeaway in the last little while has been, in order to lift other people up, Alicia has to lift Alicia up. And that's something we hope this community takes away from this episode, is that whatever you're telling yourself is your own self-sabotage. Like whatever you're telling yourself, for the reason why, of course we're going to plug ourselves. Like, you want to hear from one of our sponsors? We are our sponsor. And our sponsor, Salon Scale, is going to tell you that if something's holding you back from getting Salon Scale, whether it be price or your ego or you're just not ready, ask yourself why. Ask yourself what the boundaries are, and outside of Salon Scale, whatever that may be, just level up your business, because it's just you're in control of that. So the boundaries that you're setting on yourself, whether you don't think that you're financially savvy, whether you think that you can't get up in the morning and do it, whether you think that your clients won't be ready for it, I think take some of our values into account, use the transparency piece, and at the end of the day, I've said a lot here, but vulnerability goes a long way. So if you sit down with a client and you're vulnerable, or you sit down with yourself in the mirror and you're vulnerable, I think a lot of breakthroughs can happen from that.
Hey, amen to that. I'm going to clap her out on that one, because that was really
Give me a little
great.
rosé and I'll start just preaching, right?
It's so true. It's time for us to own our power, and the best time to start was yesterday. So change is inevitable. It's always going to change. So just make the change needed so that you can be empowered and learn what it takes for your business to succeed, and truly that this community is there no matter what stage you're at. So that's basically what we've created and what we are creating, and with your help we can make it even better.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, guys, it's been awesome. Thanks, Mandy, so much for joining today's conversation. Whatever you want, whatever your goals are, if you want to, lean into that, 5K, 5 mile run, maybe you want to listen to this while you go ahead and run it. But just realize that to think bigger, to stop thinking of things you can't, because when you do that, you're blocking yourself from the things that you can. So think as big as you can, go for those big, audacious goals that you have, and just run like you can never stop, and you can accomplish anything. So thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks everyone.